Now 2021 is over and 2022 has begun. Anyway, this is a video about 30 days before you leave on a travel, before your big trip. About a month before, there's so many things you have to get together as a couple. And here's a few things that we have put together.
Absolute necessities.
Right. So anyway, so today, if you can tell where we're at the historical
Fort Vancouver.
Don't look at the camera on.
We're at the historic Fort Vancouver, which was established by the Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company.
Our big trip, we just start writing down the things that we do before we leave, and we'll just start at the top, the things that, about a month before you have to do. And the first thing we usually do is get our cameras at our house and get those together, and we have
fresh batteries and make sure all your Wi-Fi's and everything are updated, all that. Just make sure everything's set up so that you can have a worry-free trip, not worry about the home base too much.
Right, and then you want to get a hold of a friend. We have a family member that comes and stays at the house.
House sitter, pet sitter, that's a necessity to line up ahead of time.
Anyway, so then the other thing you want to do, if you have mail come to your house, you get a hold of the post office and have your mail, put it on hold. You say you're going on vacation for an extended amount of time. You know, if you're going for a week, you might be okay to have a friend pick it up, whoever's staying at your house. Or, like I said, we just put a hold on ours. We have a P.O. box.
And another important thing to do, contact your bank or credit union and let them know you're going to be in another country, because we learned the hard way, it's very inconvenient to not be able to use your debit card because they consider it suspicious.
Yeah, we were scrambling the airport one time. We actually forgot to do one of the cards, and we had some cash in there we needed to pull out, and I was on the phone, and that was a real pain in the neck. It's hard
Skyping in France is very
yes, in France at the airport using their Wi-Fi is definitely a pain in the neck. And then they can't hear, and there's people around you, so definitely do that before you leave the house.
Another vital thing you'll want to take care of before you leave is to make sure all your bills are paid up before you leave for an extended amount of time. You don't want to come back and find out your car got a ticket for having expired tabs, or the water got turned off while you were gone and the pet sitter had to take off. So you want to make sure that stuff's all up to date or just automatically paid.
Yeah, you try to pay a month in advance, like our water bills every 2 months. We usually pay that up a month in advance. Any kind of union dues or things like that, you want to pay that in advance so you're not behind. Yeah, we did get a parking ticket. We got back, so like I said, make sure those are all your tabs don't expire while you're gone, so you get
make
those
sure
tickets.
Everything's up to date before you leave, and maybe a little ahead of time.
Yeah, that way you'll come back and you're scrambling to pay bills at the last minute.
Welcome home. You owe $600.
Yes, right.
How you?
You're not saying hi. You're not so good. You're not good.
I'm on camera. Maybe you're famous.
Wally Wonderlust.com. Going across the Great Passage. You want to get a hold of your doctor and get on any kind of medications together. We like to do for that one. We're gonna have some seasick patches that are gonna go behind our ear, so that way we don't get sick and start vomiting through the whole trip.
Well, hopefully not the whole trip. I'm sure there will be some. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bolivia had to have a yellow fever shot, and that was not covered on insurance. That was about $270, but I had to have it when I arrived. But you want to go to each country you go to and find out what the regulations are, what shots you have to have, and of course COVID regulations also.
And then of course you want to check, it sounds silly, but you need to check strange laws for the countries you're going to. You want to inadvertently break a law where you are. And some countries, things are illegal that are not here. Like in Egypt, it's actually illegal to purchase alcohol outside of a hotel, and random alcohol stops and things that are not legal in our area. I know they are in other places of the U.S., but they're not around here, and they just had stops and breathalyzers for everybody, you know.
Yeah, we ran with the bulls. We actually went to a checkpoint, and they stuck a breathalyzer in my mouth, and I was like, what is this? And they're like, oh, okay, I got it. Do you English? No. You Spanish? No. Anyway, I blew, and of course I passed, and we got to go through our trip. But the line of cars leaving, the ring with the bulls was not good for the people on the right of us. But we were fine.
Yeah. Anyway, different countries have different things that you wouldn't even think are legal or illegal, and you want to look into it just to be sure.
Anyway, so before you leave, another thing you should do is your lifeline, and that's your cell phone. Your cell phone definitely for us is our lifeline, and most people it is now. You want to check your plan before you leave. Very cool.
And my favorite part before we go is shopping for needs for your trip. Like, we need, for this particular trip, we need waterproof pants to fit over top of our clothes, and we need a lot of warm clothes for Antarctica, obviously. You know, and I enjoy the shopping for what we need. But you want to start early, because otherwise it's super expensive at the end if you have to buy it at the last minute.
Yeah.
So, when we're in Buenos Aires, it'll be warm, but when we go south to Ushuaia and below, it's not going to be so warm.
It's going to be freezing. So, yeah, so you have to have definitely a mix of clothes there. So we're going to go over that pack video in the future here.
And that led me to one more thing that you need to do before you go. And that is figure out what they call your country. Not everybody calls our country the United States or America. And so I was trying to fill out our passport information, and I could not find our country on the list. No United States of America. We are Estados Unidos. Unidos. I don't know how to pronounce it.
According to Argentina, it took us a while to find it.
So, you know, maybe just be sure that they call you what you think you're called.
We have a friend. Hey, buddy. How you doing? It's a photo bomb dog. A must-have, must-do. Go to each airline and find out what bags you can take with you. Because if you don't, you're going to be like, oh, it's $50. A lot of times they'll charge you when you first get to the airport. Oh, it's only $25 to check it when you first get to the airport. It goes to $35, and then when you bring it to the counter, yeah, they'll say, oh, now it's $50. And so check what it says by the size, the weight, what you can have. Usually they give us a little leeway. Otherwise, if you don't want to pay, and that's what we do, we don't want to pay, so we start pulling things out of our bag to make our bag lighter or to make the bag smaller so it will fit.
Right. And you want to double check, because you don't want to plan the whole trip for your first airline allows for a carry-on and a personal item, and say you're in your trip, your third airline doesn't allow a carry-on item. Then you're stuck.
Well, it'll be a lot like, you know, like if you start pulling stuff out of your bag, you'll be a lot like the kid from the Christmas Story. I can't put my arms down, right? And we're just loving the weather here today. The weather has been absolutely horrible.
Abysmal.
It's been either raining, flooding, and snowing. At one point this week, 35 states all had snow. It was buried in everywhere.
If it was bad weather, we had it.
Right. And so today is just a touch of sun. It is absolutely beautiful for this time of the year right now. But
not super cold either.
Yeah. So, but yesterday and the last 2 weeks, it has been just crazy winter weather. So we kind of just a touch of sun today. It's been great. Anyway, so what I always like to do before we're all cleaned up, we gotta get a shave. So, like, shave the face, shave the head, go get it professionally done. I lay back in the chair and get pampered before I leave. A good shave lasts a lot longer than a regular shave.
And you look prettier in the pictures.
So we just lay back and get the old head shaved and get pampered. And I think Susan does the same thing. She gets older, her lady.
I do not get my head shaved. I do get it colored though. So you also need to be checking your reservations. Make sure there's no gaps in your trip. You have a flight or a bus or a train everywhere. You have a room for every night. And also be sure to put the addresses written down somewhere safe, like with your passport or something, because we've known the name of the hotel, and it doesn't matter because that's not what they call it there. You need to have the address or their receipt or something so that you can find the place no matter what. And there are apps that will help you. Be sure to watch our earlier one on the most essential travel apps like TripIt and whatnot. But just double check everything. Make sure you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Or double booked or anything like that.
Right. Well, the good thing is, remember to always take the address with you wherever you're staying, especially when you're there and walking around. And if you don't speak
Grab
the language,
a business card.
Yeah. 'Cause,
You get lost.
if
like
you can't,
that,
you can
help
always
you.
point to the address. And so I was pointing, and they'd look, oh, yes. Oh, no, that is. Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And so that's always easy. So having those addresses with you at all the time are very important.
Yeah, we were in when we were in China. We learned to just grab the business card because we couldn't say a lot of the things, and we definitely couldn't read it, but and couldn't write it correctly.
Right.
So if you have it there in print, you can show it to a taxi driver or somebody on the street, and they can point you in the right way
Right.
if they can see it. So. And the last thing I always do before we leave, and make this poor guy help me out, clean the house. Just get everything cleaned and put away, and the bedding all washed up and changed and everything, because you want everything freshened up and nice. You don't want to come home to a dirty house and a smelly house. So you can be glad to be home.